How can you handle a teen who doesn't listen? That's our discussion for today, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Please remember to subscribe so that more parents can have also this information available to them. So yes, that is really a concern that most parents have, because our teenagers and even preteens, we end up feeling like they do not listen to what we are telling them. But then we need to start from a foundational level where we look at when did it start? At what point did they stop listening to us? Because I want to believe to some extent there are times or moments that they used to listen to us before they got to this point. Or maybe not. You never know. Because sometimes the journey starts from a while back when they were 2 years, when they were three, when they were being told to do something. Were they doing it or were we giving in? Were they listening or not? And how we carry on that journey until they were toddlers to 8, 9 years there to now point where they are preteens and teenagers. So it's an entire journey. And how you deal with it now and the length of time it will take for them to listen to you finally depends on that journey that you took. It's not something that will happen overnight. So you need to encourage that yourself that it's going to take time, because that is a habit that has formed with time. But then if they used to listen to you when they were younger, but then something happened along the way, they stopped listening to you, you need to go back and check what was the turning point. At what point did they feel, at what point did you notice that they no longer listen to you? Because I believe they didn't just stop at once. It's a gradual process that took place until that point got there. So once you reflect on that, then we can look at these 5 points whereby we can understand why they do not listen to what we are saying most of the time. And the first one, but in the foundational one, is that ideally they are just human beings. One, we need to understand that we all love ourselves. We all tend to want to do everything to please us and to follow our own hearts in every way. And that can be a foundational whereby we are all, for someone like me who's a Christian, whereby we all sin, and that aspect of it, we have the sinful nature. So that foundation comes in to say that they will want to do their own thing and be their own person and just follow their own heart without considering other people, of which we all struggle with. So us understanding that and praying to God that He will help to change their hearts to a point where they want to listen to us. But then with that foundational principle, what are these 5 areas that cause us sometimes that our teenagers do not listen? Number one is that whereby listening should come from a point of it's tied to respect and not fear, because sometimes they do not listen to us because we have gotten to a point whereby we either use threats or we use high pitched volume, or we are loud, or we are even forceful. We want them to listen by force. We are shouting and commanding them to listen, and we are using threats, and we are not respecting them as an individual who is developing and are soon to be adult. So when they get to that point whereby they feel that they are not being respected, they end up not listening, and they end up saying that now for me to gain back my power, because my parent is using this force and the authority for me to listen. So for me to feel that I am also a person and I can make my own decision, I will choose not to listen just to be powerful or just to get back at my parent. And so that is them now reacting. And sometimes they will not listen to something that is helpful to them. And that if it were another situation or a year or two earlier, they would have done what you have told them to do because it is helpful to them. But now remember, they are developing and they are really wanting to know their identity. And part of knowing their identity is being respected for who they are as an individual. If that is threatened, they cannot do something that will help them. They will rather not listen to something that will be helpful to them, just to them to feel that I am a separate human being as I am. So we need to reflect and see, are we being forceful and forcing them to listen? Are we being disrespectful as a result of it? Or are we shouting and using threats and being sarcastic even as we communicate what we desire of them to listen? And I know, parent, it can be hard for us to really be calm, cool, and collected, especially for a child who has really been quote unquote problematic, and we feel that But sometimes it is us to change our strategy, because yes, I will ask you, how has using all this force and being loud and all that, how has it helped to improve the situation? And even as we know, as we often hear that doing the same thing countless times expecting different result is not is not right. You know, it uses a harsh term as if, I don't know, foolishness or something with that saying. But ideally, so what can we do? Because this has not been working for us. Even though I know this teenager is really rebellious, doesn't respect you at all. So we need to change our approach and use a different approach to see if things will change, or if and how they will end up listening to us from a point of respect, even when we feel that they have not earned that respect from us. Let us try and use that different approach. And what you can do is to experiment and check outside there, do they respect other people? You know, be their friends or a teacher or an uncle or aunt. If you notice they are respectful of other people, it means that seed or that aspect of respect is there within them. It's that just for you, they feel that you have not earned the right for them to respect you. And so you can try a different approach and see. And I know this is not easy for us to hear and to listen, because we are the adult, we are the authority. They should respect us automatically. But that generation, we are no longer in that generation whereby just because a person is an adult, whether they treat you right or not, you respect them. But this is a different generation whereby you have to earn respect. You have to treat them in a specific way for them to even to listen to you, because listening for them is part of them respecting you, and really not out of fear. And they do not like that threat of having to listen to you if you're fearful or if you threaten them and are fearful. And we've seen that even in the political aspect of how we see things happening and how the current leadership is responding to them. They do not respond well to fear, and they will listen if you used fear, even putting their foot down further and not then anymore. So that is a point of us to reflect on how we can use respect rather than that aspect of fear for them to listen. The second point is picking the right moment to talk to them. So at what point are we giving them advice on what they are supposed to do, or even a solution, or even those boundaries and consequences that you are coming with? Are we talking to them when they are angry because something has happened, or are consequences that you've given them, or when they are distracted with a lot of activities? They are sad about a friend is not talking to them. Maybe they are sad because you've told them they are not going to have a phone until they are 16 or 18. Or maybe they are exhausted with so many activities. Right now, our children are really exhausted. Our teenagers, preteens, they are exhausted with the so many activities that we have them signed up in school, outside school, you know, and all that, and the assignments that they have. So if we try to do that when they are really exhausted, it is likely that they will not listen to you, especially if you are giving these talking to them and giving them instruction when they are really, the emotions are either high or really low. They are sad, frustrated, and angry. So we need to know what point we are picking to really have this discussion about a serious issue that is happening, and when we listen to them. So let's reflect and look back and see the number of times I have told them to listen to me, or advice that I was giving them, or instructions. Were they cool, calm, and collected? Did we have a conversation around it? And then you'll be able to tell the right time to do it. Thirdly, we need to model the listening. Are we modeling it? Are we able to sit and listen to our teenager and even implement some things that they are suggesting to us? And I know when I say that, for us, sometimes we think, what can they share with me that I can implement? They are kids. Yes, they are kids, but you'll be surprised. I interact with these teenagers in the counseling room and even outside. They have so many bright ideas, and they can find a solution to a challenge that you're having in the home. And you'll be surprised that the solution they will suggest for you, it is even them giving themselves a responsibility. And because it has come from them, they are more likely to do it. So are we listening to them? Are we reflecting back on what they are sharing? Are we showing that we are ready to do what they are suggesting? Or even if we are not doing, have we shown them that what they have shared with us, we have listened keenly and we have taken it to heart, even though we are not going to do exactly what they have shared with us. So we need to model, and that is the first even action point that we can take, that we need to model listening. To model listening. And you'll find that a good chunk of the time, it is us parents who are having a difficulty to listen to them. So it is us, and I will keep insisting on this point, that we need to approach them from a point of, yes, they are children, but we need to, that attitude that sometimes we have, that they are children, they are not, there's nothing they can tell me that is going to be beneficial to this conversation or to this home. Subconsciously, we need to learn slowly how to have that mindset change, so that we can be open to learn from our teenagers. And you'll be surprised the changes that you will see, and even how the home environment and atmosphere will adjust because of you listening to them. So listening is actually a two-way traffic. Now, the fourth reason they do not listen is because we do not involve them in the process. Whatever process it is that you want them to listen and to implement and to do, are we involving them? This is no longer a stage, and that's maybe the challenge is coming from. Us as parents, we do not want to make the mind shift that they are no longer children, they are having their own way of thinking about things. And maybe our point of saying they do not listen to us is because when they were children, we'll tell them 1, 2, 3, and they will just go ahead and do it. No question, nothing. And then now you're telling them 1, 2, 3, but then they are saying, no, it's 3, 2, 1. And so for us parents, we've interpreted they are not listening at all. But it's them, it's a God-given aspect that God has enabled them, that now they are shifting to even have their own opinions, of which it will help them later in life as adults. So we need to nurture that aspect of them thinking of another way of doing things and not accepting everything that we share with them. So how are we involving them in that process? And if 90%, if you're not going to agree with what they are suggesting, find a way of even agreeing, even if it's just 10%, even as you implement the 90% you have shared. And then, as I usually tell parents in trainings, you need to choose your negotiables and the non-negotiables. Have things that you can allow them to make a decision 90% of the time, so that when you have these deep issues that are really a matter of life and death, or really serious things, whereby now you can, if you come and say we are going to implement this 100%, not the way you're saying, they will tend to allow it, because you have allowed them in these the small issues, everyday issue, the habits, the personality issues. You've allowed them to have their way, or even just allow them 60 to accept 60% of their decision. Then they will be able to embrace and to listen more to what you are saying, in that aspect. So involve them. Let it be more of a cooperation. If you involve them in the process, they're less likely to resist to what you're telling them. And these will need us parents to be present, because what happens most of the time, things are happening. We are so busy such that we just want to say 1, 2, 3, this is what we are going to do for the weekend. We will be here tomorrow on Sunday after church. This is where we are going, and we're going to do this and the likes, because everything is programmed and planned. We have a plan, but then each teenager is coming and they have now their own plans and other way of doing things. Or then they do something that disrupts the entire plan that you had for the weekend. And now you need to stop and have a conversation around it. But because we do not have that time to have a conversation, because we have so many things, we just want to dish out requirements. Do these 1, 2, and 3. But yet this needs a dialogue that will take maybe 15 minutes, but we want to say it within 60 seconds and it's implemented. So we need to even create time for us to have those conversations, so that now we're able to listen to them and they're able to listen to us. And it's an investment that we are going to reap later in life, because we will be able, now as the adults, we will have less stress on our hands, because they will have learned how to have a conversation and how to implement other people's ideas and how to have their own thoughts heard, and not to wait for you to listen. Because what is likely to happen, trust me, you do not want a teenager who listens to what you're saying 100% of the time. Trust me, you do not want that, because what that will tell them is that any adult, any person older than me who tells me something, I have to do it exactly as they should. And then how the world is. You want them to be able to question. You want them to be able to have a discussion with other people around what is happening. And so that is what we want to nurture. How can I listen to you as you listen to me? How can I involve you even in this process? And that will really be helpful for us as parents. And lastly, we need to set firm boundaries without threats or guilt. Sometimes they don't listen because we do not have boundaries, or we just allow them to just walk all over them. And we see a lot of this in the permissive parenting style or the passive communication style that we discussed in the other video, whereby we just allow them to be because we do want to avoid conflict, so we let them be. And then it comes a time, maybe in their earlier childhood, now they're teenagers, it comes a time we want them to listen at least these once. But how can they listen even these once, yet they have not learned to listen and to follow? We've not even taught them how to listen or to follow these specific rules for some time. So now that comes to work against us later on in their teenagehood. So we need to know and have consequences. If you do not listen, this is what will happen. Now, we do that in light of what we have just discussed. Because if we use consequences throughout because they are not listening, they will feel like they are a prisoner in the home, that their mind or thoughts cannot be embraced, added on to the decisions that are being made. So yes, we need to have firm rules and firm consequences. Even in that terms of the rules and the consequences, we also need to have them coming along to help us even in that process of creating them and us following through with them. But if you don't listen to what I am saying and don't do it, this is the rule you've broken, and this is the consequence that comes after it. And this comes after we had a discussion around it together. It is not just something I came and I just shared out of nowhere that this is going to happen. They will feel disrespected if we do that. And so mostly that is why our teenagers do not listen most of the time. And hopefully you found pointers where you can use here and there and learn how to work around them and even find a way of helping and modeling and helping our teenagers to have that voice that they can also be heard, even as we expect them to listen to us. So that is it for today. Hopefully I will see you next time, even as we continue with the discussion. And as we go, just a reminder to subscribe to this channel, and we have so many other resources, even ebooks on our ParenTeen.co.ke website that can help you to communicate better with them, that can help you to deal with setting boundaries and consequences if you're struggling to know what boundaries to use or not, and how we can understand our teenager. We have a paperback book of how we can understand our teenager, and we can get it in the bookstore out there, especially in Nuria Bookshop or Amazon. So that is it for today. I will see you next time. Bye.